Hello. In this video, I'm going to think out loud about some problem or something interesting that recently has caught my attention in my personal and professional relationships. And that is the similarities and differences between the state of being reactive and honesty. For a very long time, I myself used to call myself an honest person because I thought that I was enforcing a certain level of immediacy between the input, between my feelings, and output, my actions to the world, words that I used to tell people, or actions that I used to take in my daily life. And for a very long time, I thought that immediacy between the input and output is actually making me an honest person. However, recently I was exposed to some thoughts, some ideas that essentially the main role of the consciousness is, in fact, to sit between the inputs that we receive from the external world, ingest them, and then translate that into appropriate actions to the world. And that the process of ingesting and translating that into the action is actually what the role of the consciousness is. And I used to minimize that role, and I used to think that as an honest person, it's my goal to actually minimize that and share with the world exactly what the input from the world is causing inside me. However, as I'm aging and I'm learning more, I'm realizing that that actually does not make me an honest person, and very often it actually makes me an annoying person. People do not want you to share immediate feelings that you get out of the input that they put on you. Instead, I think a new definition of honesty that I've been trying to develop in my own mind is something more like that the process of ingesting and translating input to output, it's consistent. I think that consistency of that process and consistency with a set of principles that you're not trying to hide, I think that's more akin to what honesty should be defined as. And as a result of that, in my personal life and my professional life, I am trying to actually sit on input that I receive from the world for a few seconds, for whatever the context is, for some time, and actually let it do its job inside me, and then I observe what it did, and then consult my principles, and then translate that into action. I understand, it's kind of silly and mechanical what I'm describing. Obviously, it's not how you can behave every second of your life, but I am trying to do that more consciously and more frequently. And as a result, I'm actually realizing that I am going through a lot less friction in my relationships with people, because very often I realize that the immediate feelings that are discharged, that are created inside me, essentially, if I discharge them, very often the feeling goes away momentarily, and however, I'm stuck with the consequences of that discharge in reality. And the consequences are not necessarily what you would want in general, or they're not necessarily consistent with your own principles and goals. And I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share these thoughts, and I don't really, obviously, clearly, don't have this under fully processed and understood clearly, but I'm going to try to think about this again, and perhaps other subjects too, in next videos. Thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Have a great day.